ਮਾਰਕ ਕਾਰਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਿਫਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਰੀ ਬੇਂਸ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਅੱਜ ਵਰਚੁਅਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ, ਹੀ ਹੈਡ ਅ ਵਰਚੁਅਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰਸ and he must be a very confident person coming back home after meeting Donald Trump. And like I was mentioning that UK and US had a good deal. Everybody's happy. UK's Prime Minister is happy, and Donald Trump looks like he's in a different mood today. And he was mentioning that we're going to have a quickly we're going to have a deal with the China as well. Deal process negotiations will begin soon. So that seems to be a good news to me. And we're talking about politics here now. Mark Carney is back, and now he'll have to prove that he's good in Parliament as well. He'll have to prove that he can handle day-to-day events, and he'll have to prove that like the things he promised and mentioned in the campaign, that he'll make what kind of face and size, shape and size of the ministry will be. I have with me Mr. Mark Marissen. Mark Marissen ਹੋਣੀ ਸਿਆਸੀ ਟਿੱਪਣੀਕਾਰ ਨੇ, ਖਾਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੋਹਰਤ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ, ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਪੱਧਰ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਤੇ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਪੱਧਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਨੂੰ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਹੈਗਾ, ਸਿਆਸੀ ਅੰਦਰਲੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਮਝ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮਾਰਕ ਕਾਰਨੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਦੀ ਵਜ਼ਾਰਤੀ ਗਠਨ ਦਾ ਮੂੰਹ ਮੰਦਰਾ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਹੋਏਗਾ। ਹੈਲੋ ਮਾਰਕ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਵੈਲਕਮ।
How are you doing?
Very good. What do you think?
I think that we're in for. We've had a very interesting few months in politics in Canada, and especially in British Columbia when it comes to the federal politics, because Mark Carney managed to elect 20 seats for the Liberal Party in BC. It's the best result. It's the highest number of Liberal MPs that British Columbia has ever had, and it's the second highest percentage of seats that we've had since 1968 when Pierre Trudeau got elected.
All right, so let's start from here. What do you think is the reason the rest of the country behaved differently? BC gave a lot of BC's contribution actually brought the Liberals back.
I think part of it was that I think a lot of people were concerned about Poilievre's approach. They wanted to have somebody that's a calm, cool, and professional kind of prime minister, and they were scared by Poilievre, so a lot of the NDP votes went Liberal. The NDP vote basically collapsed, and it became a two-way race in many places.
And even though we have discussed it many times, what's your take on the meeting that happened in White House?
Well, I thought that Carney handled it very, very well. He was patient with Trump when Trump was saying crazy things. That was not the place to get into a big fight with him. But I think that Trump is taking him more seriously than he took Justin Trudeau.
I think on the lighter tone, he not only behaved well with Mark Carney, but and today I think he started behaving with everybody else too. Prime Minister of UK is happy too.
Well, that's good.
He has that effect. Anyways, so now the next thing, probably the expectation is that Mark Carney will choose his ministers. What do you think the criteria will be, shape and size of the ministry?
I think it's going to be smaller than Trudeau's ministry, but probably a little bigger than the one that Carney had just when he first became the leader that he presented to the public for the election. And he did say that it would be half men and half women. There would be gender parity. What he does have to take into account is that in his cabinet that he pulled together when he first, just a few months ago, only included one member of Parliament from British Columbia. In fact, there weren't any from Alberta or Saskatchewan either. He's going to have somebody from Alberta, somebody from Saskatchewan, and now that BC has 20 seats, he's got to reward British Columbia. So hopefully there will be 2 or 3 ministers from British Columbia.
And politically speaking, it sounds good. In 2015, Mr. Trudeau said the same thing, that I'm having half men and half women in the cabinet. But at this juncture, very critical juncture we are in, we are very concerned about tariffs and many other things. Do you think at this time the merit should prevail rather than political balancing act?
Well, there's a bunch of different kinds of merits. I mean, for one thing, you could say that all the really, really good people are just from Ontario, but you have to have people from across the country. And there are some good, strong women that have gotten elected. In British Columbia, there's 2 new ones that I can think of off the top of my head, Jill McKnight in Delta, Stephanie McLean in Esquimalt. So I think there are some strong women that he can choose from around the country, and that can be balanced out with strong other people, strong men. I think it's good to have that kind of gender parity.
And I think you mentioned that BC gave 20 seats, but let me mention a little bit more. Surrey gave 5 seats, I think. 2 of them were not even expected. South Surrey, they gave a Liberal seat to South Surrey as well. And Delta and Fleetwood area, Mr. Sani won the seat there. So do you think it's about time for Surrey to have at least one ministerial post? We have likes of Mr. Sarai and Zouk Dhaliwal. They've been winning since ages.
Well, if I was the Prime Minister, I would make Zouk Dhaliwal the Prime Minister, put him in cabinet for sure. I don't know what Mark Carney would do, but I do think that somebody like him would be really good in cabinet.
But you've been there in the political waters for many decades now. Do these things matter, that who sits on the ministerial post? What is the criteria when you think the Prime Minister chooses a minister?
I think, well, one thing is he has to balance out competence, and then also people's ability to communicate, and the fact that what constituencies they represent, so that he has the maximum number of people from around the country feeling represented around the table, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that he has to balance out. But one of the biggest ones is to make sure that you've got representation from every corner of the country.
I heard that Liberals, at a certain level, they're trying to bring some Conservatives in their fold. And historically speaking, right from the Mr. Mulroney era, Liberal governments, they used to take help from the Conservatives and vice versa. And I think last deal we had with Americans, Conservatives played a good role, certain Conservatives. Do you think that's another possibility? That can be another change of style for Mark Carney to bring some good people from other parties as well?
I don't know. I do think that we need to find a way to make sure that we're always talking to everybody from other parties, because people do have good ideas from other parties. He just about got a majority. I haven't heard of any members of Parliament that would want to be crossing the floor to the Liberals, but who knows? I mean, that would be good news, because then we'd have a majority government. But I'm not too. I don't think that's going to happen. Himself
is an achiever. His resume is so good, based on what he got the votes and he got acknowledgement from Canadians. Do you think the criteria and the method of choosing ministers will be a little bit different? He'll definitely prioritize the personal resumes of different ministers and competence that you mentioned.
Yes, I do. I do think that he's going to be concerned about that more than most prime ministers. And he has some pretty talented people that have gotten elected from around the country. So I'm not too worried about it.
So, lastly, his priority, of course, is the United States and good relationship with the U.S. and the White House. But he's been mentioning time and again that he needs to look towards Europe and other parts of the countries, China, India, etc. So, do you think that can also reflect in the ministry?
Yes, I think that can be, but also it can just be. The fact is that Mark Carney has really strong global connections himself. I think that he can work very well with other countries around the world, and he has he just has a lot of connections around the world in a way that very few prime ministers before have had them before they came into the role.
Mark, I want to thank you for your time, sir. Shukriya.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a really great day.